Welcome everybody to the fall semester of Computer Science 250. This lecture will be a relatively short lecture covering an introduction. So we'll go over the syllabus, we'll go over the detailed site layout, and real briefly talk about the first and probably just mention the second lab. So see, with that we'll get into, I just got a few slides for us here to go through. As I said, welcome to 250. If you're not sure, this is the follow-on course from 150, so it's another very programming intensive course. In fact, that's all we're going to do the entire semester long is talk about programming. Since this is an online course, this will largely be a solo effort. That is, that we're not, it's kind of hard to facilitate group work, although I do try with some of the later labs. So if you can get into those discussion boards here using D2L. I don't force anything, I don't set anything up for you, but feel free to in order to get to know some of your classmates. That will help a little bit. Who am I? I'm Josh Stroschein. I'll be your instructor for this fall. My second year teaching here at DSU. Let's see, I spent before this a little over 10 years and continue to this day doing a lot of programming, contract work, and working for companies of different sizes here in the region. There's a smaller town to the south of the Madison main campus, and that's where I've lived for quite a while now. I'm also an intel officer with the Air National Guard, so if you have any interests or questions about that line of work, I can do my best to give you a very non-biased opinion there. We'll talk about the syllabus and course review, kind of lay out a tentative schedule, and I'll just do that through the flow that we're going to develop throughout the 16 weeks here that we're together, 15 in class and 1 with finals. And then talk about the last lab. All right, so what are we going to cover today, or what are we going to cover in the course? Well, what I'm going to focus on are those critical programming concepts using C. Okay, so if you took 150 at DSU, odds are, I know it's not a guarantee, but odds are you did C. If you're taking this online, you may be coming from a variety of backgrounds. So C is our tool of choice. The book that I have made required for the course does do a pretty good job of introducing and then walking us through all the topics that we're going to cover. So while I won't always pull code samples or content exactly explicitly verbatim from the book, I am using it heavily so that it is an additional tool for you to help get through the course. If you don't have C, grab the book, go through those first couple chapters. 1 through 6, I think. You don't have to hit every single topic in there, just hit the high level stuff, and by the end of your review, you should be relatively comfortable with defining functions and working with arrays. If at any point in time you don't feel like you're grasping it or getting it, shoot me an email. We'll talk about course communication here in a minute, and let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out, give you further explanation, work with you online, or provide additional resources. Critical programming concepts. Okay, so the overall, again, the syllabus is going to cover that, but those items that you need to know as a successful programmer moving forward in this course. Not everybody's going to go on to be a programmer. You're not going to be a full-time programmer, and I understand that, but a lot of these, especially for those of you in a security field, these are topics that you'll see in program, in malware, in shellcode, in what have you, over and over again. So I'll try to keep the focus in that general area. We'll pretty much stick to the schedule, and you'll see that evolve here as we talk through it. So you should be able to, after the first week or two, identify the pattern and the rhythm that we're in, and be able to feel comfortable that this is how the course is going to run. And I'll talk about that. So expand upon what we learned in 150. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with review. The first week here we will have, the first lab actually will be kind of a review lab. The first few lectures this week, first couple lectures this week are review lectures. After that, then we're on to pointers, and everything is new. From that point on, everything that I intro and we talk about, we'll use it throughout the rest of the semester. Once we, for example, once we talk about pointers, there really isn't, at least I can't think of offhand, there isn't another concept that we'll talk about in another lab that we won't use pointers. So they'll just be one of those topics that we just continue to build off of. So it'll be important to keep up, and if you run into any issues, to let me know, contact me, and I will help work through those with you. Okay, course communication. This is especially critical with an online course because we don't have that face-to-face time that we do when we teach on campus, and so it's harder for me to get a gauge on how everybody's doing outside of seeing labs and quizzes and exams, and gauging effort and how people are doing if they're struggling based off of that. So contact me, send me an email. You can send me, if you're sending me 100 emails a day, we probably better figure out a more efficient route, but don't be hesitant to send me an email and let me know if you're running into any issues. You can see here on the screen my email address. I'm pretty much constantly watching that. Office hours, by and large, are irrelevant for you guys because I imagine most of you will be non-traditionals and working during the day. I do have office hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. Central. So if you happen to be available at that time, I will be sitting in front of my computer in my office. This semester, I'm going to try something a little bit different, and starting next Thursday, not this upcoming, but next Thursday, to help accommodate you guys, do some evening office hours from 7 to 9, and I'll probably just sit in a Google Hangout, so I will get through D2L, our D2L site, get further information about how you guys can contact me during those office hours. So we'll try that 7 to 9 Central, starting on September 4th. Also a phone number is in the D2L site. I'll highlight that here in just a second. And then I'm always available, I'm always willing to try to schedule something for Skype or a Google Hangout. Not always available. You can't just drop me an email today and expect to have Google Hangout by this afternoon. But let me know and we can try to get something scheduled as soon as possible. Usually it takes 24 hours, 48 hours, depending on our schedules. D2L, okay, I do post D2L news items. That'll be the central place that I post information about the course. I'll post a weekly, outlook for where we're at and where we're headed, as well as anything that comes up along the way. So please check that often. I do not use D2L mail very often. It's just something that always drops off my list of things to check, and I don't check it. So if you use the iLab, I realize that becomes harder to communicate with, sending me your code. So if you do drop something to me in D2L, please follow that up with an actual email to this address here, so that I know that you did send me something and don't forget it. If I'm not responding to you via D2L mail, it's not that I'm ignoring you, I just haven't checked it or forgot that it was there. And then finally, in part of the communication, please stay on top of your grades. Check the Dropbox submissions, check the grades as I post them. Typically on a Dropbox submission, once it closes and I have everybody's submission, it takes me 2 to 4 days to get those graded. I try to get you guys feedback immediately so you can see how you did and how you're doing. So check that often. Please don't wait till the end of the semester. Remember with Dropbox, it's a two-step process. You upload the assignment and then you submit it. And what students will oftentimes do is they'll forget that once they've uploaded, they'll forget to actually submit the assignment. And then when they get a 0 at the end of the semester, they contact me wondering why. So stay on top of that, and if you run into any issues where you have a grade or lack thereof for an item you thought you submitted, let me know and we can work something out. Okay, having difficulties. So 250 can be a challenging course. It can especially be challenging when it's online, and you'll probably feel largely like you're kind of doing this on your own. That's not the intent. It's just kind of the nature of online courses. And so overall what I'll provide is I'll provide practice labs, code samples, so everything that we're going to go through in the lectures, office hours, virtual, and then support via email, and then lectures. And it'll be up to you to piece all those together to get through the labs and get through the quizzes that we'll have this semester. The lectures and the code that we look at, I try my best to make that match up to the assignments so that if we talk about it, everything we talk about you can use to finish the lab. Very rarely will I have you use some topic we haven't talked about in class to complete a lab. So if you're venturing into subjects or topics that we haven't talked about, feel free to explore those and use those if you can. But odds are that's not necessarily what I'm looking for you to finish the lab. So if you get to a point where you feel like you're just having trouble, contact me. Okay, just contact me and let me know, and let's get ahead of this and work out something to help get you through that. Work in groups. Identify your peers. Again, I understand, I talked about this earlier, it's a little bit harder with these online courses, but reach out to them. You have the class list available through D2L, and odds are if you're going through something, you're struggling with something, a specific topic or a way that I'm talking about something, somebody else is as well. And so you can reach out to them and build a support network to help you get through it. I don't believe we offer any online tutoring, but if you contact me, I can help try to track something down. Caveat with working in groups, do not submit identical code unless I've approved it, unless it's a part of the lab assignment itself. So work together, but don't submit identical stuff. I do need to see original effort. Use the internet. Okay, I'm not naive enough to think that we're not able to use the internet. I'm a programmer and I use the internet all the time. It's harder to do that in an academic setting because like I said, I do need to see that original effort. but use it to get ideas, but don't let it take you down the wrong path. Okay, there'll be some labs that you might want to go to the internet and look for how other people have done it. Stack Overflow is going to be a great resource, but their solution may not be exactly what I'm looking for. So just be careful if you're using the internet. The book is required, although people oftentimes will try to get through the course without purchasing it, and that's fine if you want to try that. If you do, though, I'm going to post suggestions on what to read, and please do that. The chapters aren't, they're not incredibly long, and I think they'll help build a better understanding going into those topics. So the flow I would recommend is, read the chapter, then watch the lectures, look at the sample code, and then work on the lab. And then finally, issues, just contact me. Let me know as in advance if you can, and we can work something out. Okay, as I mentioned, you cannot submit plagiarism. I will check, I will look. It's very easy for me to take a snippet of your program, paste it into Google, and see what kind of results I get. Run a WinDiff on it and see if it's identical to something that's already out there, that's already on the internet. I'll give you a 0. So again, I encourage you to work together, but you have to create your own programs, create your own code, and it's not too hard to do that. If you find resources on the internet, same thing, you need to make it your own. Okay, so don't just copy and paste it. If you're working with somebody, don't just let your friend borrow it, because if they borrow it and turn in your work, you'll both have the same issue to deal with. We'll all have the same issue to deal with. So if anything's not clear on this, just again reach out to me, let me know, and I will do my best to clarify. Okay, so for our first lab, and this should be pretty much just a pretty straightforward one, especially because I'm assuming most of you have used the IA lab in 150. We will heavily rely on the IA lab for this course. However, you do not have to use the IA lab. If you have a different environment that you'd rather use a VM on your machine using VMware Player or VirtualBox. Maybe you're running Mac OS X or a Linux distro. There's no requirement that you have to use the IA lab. Just know that as you venture away from the IA lab, I'll be able to provide less and less support, and it'll be up to you to get those issues up and running. Bottom line, with what you submit for your code, I do expect to compile it on a Linux system, GCC, and to run. So if you want to use Visual Studio and Windows, that's fine. Just make sure that it'll compile on Linux using GCC. So the lab will be focused on connecting to the iLab. If that's not what you want to use, then just submit me a screenshot or something showing me that you have an environment ready to go and that you're ready to code this semester. Let's see. We'll go take a look at that Dropbox folder and the instructions. We'll review the syllabus, and you can ignore this. Let's do it in class bullet. And then any issues. All right, so the whole goal of this is to get connected if you're going to use it, and if you can't get connected, let's figure that out right now, right away this first week, and get these issues resolved. All right, so here's our syllabus. This is available on our D2L site. Okay, less relevant here is my office location. I guess if you happen to be in the area, in the region, and you want to set up a time, this is where I'm located. Email, phone number. No voicemail, so again, best communication here is email, but we can set up a time to call over here. Office hours, as we talked about, we'll look at using virtual this semester and see how those go. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to do those all semester long, but we'll definitely give it a shot. Textbooks, see how to program. There's your ISBN. 6th or 7th edition works just fine. If you can find a 6th edition, I think those are generally cheaper, and there's not enough of a difference between the two that it doesn't matter. The 6th comes with a CD or a DVD. You don't need it, so 6th or 7th edition is fine. This is 3 credits, fall 2014, Dakota State University. Overall, what we're going to look at this semester then, about 2 to 3 tests, 8 to 10 homework assignments, or what I'll refer to as lab, and a handful of quizzes. We won't have 2 or 3 tests. We'll probably have 1 or 2. We'll probably have about 8 labs, 8 or 9 labs, and then a handful of quizzes, 4 or 5 quizzes. Everything will be through D2L. Okay, so log into D2L, you'll see it all there. There'll be notifications, so there really isn't any way to miss it. Overall course objectives, all right, so we're going to build off those topics we covered in 150, expand that and look at pointers, strings, file I/O, structures and malloc, linked lists, and the kind of what I will consider more optional information here at the end. We won't have labs based off of these topics, but we will probably talk about them: stacks, queues, and binary trees. Okay, like I said, everything will be provided via D2L, or information on how to access will be in D2L. All homework will be opened and through Dropbox, and I won't do anything short turnaround. So if you're checking D2L every other day, that's probably good enough. There won't be anything that I'll just open up, in the morning and close in the evening. Most labs will be open for 5 to 7 days. Most quizzes will be open for 5 to 7 days, and any exams, if we have them, same thing. They'll be open for probably 3 to 5 days. Extra help, contact me. Okay, performance standards. And we're not too worried about that. Academic dishonesty, I believe we covered that pretty well. Makeup policy, again, just contact me. If you're contacting me after the fact and it's just because you missed something or didn't notice it, we're going to have less empathy there. As far as dates, this list is by no means all-inclusive, so please check our academic calendar on dsu.edu, but these are some dates you need to know about. Monday we have no classes. That kind of impacts you guys a little less than the rest. September 4th, that's probably the next big one. That's the last day to register for any fall classes to determine financial eligibility. It's also the last day to add a full semester class, and it's the last day to drop a full semester class and receive 100% of your refund. Okay, so keep that in mind. November 7th then, a few weeks out, but that's the last date that we can drop a course, that you can drop a course and get a W. There'll be no prorated refund unless you drop every single course, so keep that in mind as you're moving through this semester. But this is the last day to do that. So I'll try to point these out as we go, but check that calendar, set some reminders for yourself if you think you need them to not let these dates pass. ADA policy, if you need anything, let me know, and we'll go through the proper channels. It's really less applicable in this environment because I give a long duration for labs and exams and everything, so probably won't have to be an issue with anybody, but if it is, let me know and we'll definitely work something out. And the rest of this stuff is pretty much boilerplate. You do not have a tablet, so you do not have to worry about it. And of course I reserve the right to change this as we go, and I probably will. Okay, D2L, I don't want to assume that everybody's familiar, so if you go to dsu.edu, go to the sign in, desire to learn, the login there. Alright, and then 250. Okay, alright, so here's my layout. Here's the course information, contact information, everything that we just covered in the syllabus. Here's the news items. Please keep track of that and refer to here, check here often. As you can see, I've already posted a couple of items. Here's our calendar. This will help give you some idea. You can see Lab 1 availability ends, Lab 2 availability ends. And then the key pieces of the way I'll use D2L are right along the top here. I try to simplify the navigation a little bit. Content will be syllabus, practice labs, slides, and code. Discussion, I don't have anything going, but feel free to use that. If I need to set something up, just shoot me an email and I'll get something set up for you. Dropbox, and this is where the majority of our labs, well, all of our labs are going to go. Lab, like I said, a handful of quizzes. The quizzes section will be quizzes and exams. And then here's grades, check your grades. Okay, so this is everything I'm going to be using here just in one layer of navigation. As far as Dropbox goes then, and kind of the overall flow of the course, what you can expect is our lectures, for me to post our lectures on Monday, Tuesday, so the beginning of each week. We're going to exclusively use YouTube this year, so I'll provide a link on how to get to those here through the content section. Labs will probably open shortly thereafter, and they'll open kind of towards the middle or end of each week and be due the following week. And every lab as it opens, that lab will be based off of the content that we just previously, or previous to that opening, talked about. So you'll see labs, and then you'll see a lab that you'll see videos, lectures, and then you'll see a lab that covers that material that we just talked about. But you'll see this, like I said, you'll see this flow evolve. Check the due dates and keep track of the news postings, and you'll see something from me at the minimum beginning of each week. Let's see. So then the first lab, Lab 1 connecting to the IA lab. And if you go to the Dropbox link, you'll see for you guys that that's available now. So you can click on that and find this Word document. Lab 2 I'll have open later this week, so you don't have to worry about that quite yet. And just follow the instructions. The only thing I need out of this, even though this is kind of wordy, the only thing I need out of this is a screenshot proving to me that you're in the IA lab. You don't have to worry about doing anything in particular in there. Just prove to me that you got in and that you're all set. This is helping us to identify any issues with the IA lab and your access getting into it. Okay, so if you can't get in and you can't upload a screenshot, here, bullet 7 is what's talking about that screenshot. Let me know so we can get that resolved. Again, if you're not using the IA lab, that's fine too. Just submit a screenshot of what you're using, either a screenshot or a write-up. It doesn't matter to me as long as you feel comfortable and confident with the environment that you're going to use. Okay, I think that about covers it. Let's see. So review this and let me know if you have any problems, run into any issues, or have any questions. Look forward to a great semester, and have a good day.